What's going on, everybody? This is the True Kings Podcast, and I am your boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Styles, or Lucas. And today I am not joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Father Paul, Brother Big Head, Brother T-Rex. We are not joined by him today. You know, things happen. And he could not make it to today's recording, so today I am going solo. But this is still the True Kings Podcast, and he will be back for our next episode. But today is a topic that it's been on my mind for a little bit. It's one of those topics where you think about it, you have debates about it. And today I just want to talk a little bit about it. Today we are talking about being complacent versus being content, because a lot of people don't really know the difference between the two, and I get it. It's one of those two of those words where you may not know what it means. You may have heard people say it, you may have heard people use it, but it's one of those things where we tend to not really know the difference, you know. So when we say being content, what do we typically mean by that? We mean, you know, somebody says, "Oh, I'm content where I'm at in life," right? You know, it typically means that they've accepted where they're at. You know, they may not be happy, but they're good. They're okay with where they're at. They've accepted that where they're at is where they're going to be for right now. No more, no less. So they're okay with that. Now, being complacency, from what I've come to understand it, is you have accepted that you're okay with where you're at, and you're not really too concerned with what accompanies that or moving forward with that. And I've also heard it to mean that you've accepted where you're at, and you're not really going to do anything to get out of where you're at, even if you don't like where you're at, you know. And I'm just going to say, a personal pet peeve of mine is I don't like people that complain about things happening in their life or things that are going on in their life, and they don't do anything to help make those changes or to help move past these things they have going on in their life. You know, for example, somebody complaining about a job and they're not doing anything to either get promoted or get out of the job and find a new job, or, you know, anything, what have you. Or another thing I don't like is people that complain about things that they have going on in their life, when, for one, there's plenty worse things that could be happening. Believe me, there's people out here dying. And you're complaining about something as simple as, oh, I woke up late and I got fired, or, oh, I had to call out sick and they were like, nah, bro, I can't do that, gotta come in, you know, something like that. You know, it's things like that bother me, because I'm over here like, I'm always trying to better myself. I'm always trying to set up my future life and set up my future family, you know. And I just don't like when people complain about things, and they have the ability, they have the right, and they have the authority to make these changes. So being content, I'll start with that one. Personally, it's one of those things where I understand things happen, and you may not get the results that you want or that you've been looking for, but you can make changes to remedy that. You know, there's always things better. There's always other options out there. You know, it may not always be a case of the grass grass is greener on the other side. But it is a case of, don't accept that things are the way that they are. You can always change things. You can always make change happen. They say that change is up to, us, people. Change is something that we control, It may not feel like that at times, believe me. I have been there, but it is something that we can control. Personally, I feel like if we as people don't look at it from the perspective of, these things that are happening in my life, I have the ability to change them. I'm not saying that, you're going to suddenly come into $1 million, hit the lottery and win $1 million. And then now your bills are paid off, your credit card's paid off, you ain't got no debt. But what I am saying is, that job that for a little while, there's other jobs out there. And who knows, maybe you are going through what you're going through because you're going to get a promotion or something like that. You never know. It's just a matter of not only having patience, but also having the desire and the drive to use that patience to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Now, complacency and personally, before I get started, I think that these two can be very intertwined because people tend to get content when they are complacent in life. If you stop moving forward and you get stagnant and you become complacent, then you tend to just settle in and oh damn, I guess this is where we're at for now. But as far as being complacent, I feel like it's one of those things where people tend to forget that you have to have a desire, and a commitment to want to move forward in life. It's not a race, it's a marathon, right? It's not about who makes money the fastest. It's about when you get to your older ages and you can no longer, lift 30,000 pounds when you're young. 30,000, I know it's a bit much, but you get my hyperbole. When you get to that, it's a matter of, now that my future is up here, now that my younger days have passed, what can I do now? How am I going to move forward now? Because, you're 45, 50, 65, retired, and now what do you do? Do you stay complacent and become content about where you're at? Because you've put away $6 million in 401k and now you've got to figure out what to do with that. Do you take that $6 million, invested in stocks or invested in properties and flip houses, or have people flip houses for you? It's things like that where not only are we forward thinking, but we have to be forward driven, because if there's no desire to keep moving forward, even when you're 65, 70 years old, you can't just stop. More than likely, we're going to have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren even. And what about their futures, I'm not just going to stop because, I've set myself up, I got to set myself up, myself up. I have to set my children's future up and, potentially their children's future up, And I understand that there's people out there, parents out there, they're not that great, and they may not have that same mindset of, I have to set my children up. But, the bottom line of being a parent is you want to set your children's life up better than what you had when you grew up, because you don't want them to live the same life that you lived, because even if it was a good life, you don't want them to be like, I guess $70,000 a year is okay, you want them to be in the mindset of, yeah, I might start out with $70,000 a year, but I want to get into the $100,000 a year, maybe $170,000 a year, It's one of those forward-driven mindsets, and that's where people that get complacent, they tend to just like, oh, well, whatever, I guess, doesn't really affect me, so, whatever, or, oh, well, I guess this is how the world works, so, I guess, whatever, and then that causes them to, in turn, be content, because they've accepted the fact that it's either not going to affect them, or that this is just the way things are, and that's not for me anyway. I don't know about other people. It's just not how I want to live my life. I want to continue to move forward. I want to continue to be successful. I want to continue to achieve goals that I have, goals that my parents had, goals that my children will have one day. Now, I'm not saying that you should be, an asshole about it. I'm not saying that you should step over some other people, because, I heard a saying once. Actually, I think my father told me. I don't remember who he heard it from, but he said it's lonely at the top. When you get rich, it's lonely because a lot of people tell you that you have to step on the toes of other people. You gotta have the individual mindset. You can't be concerned about other people and bringing them with you to the top, because it's a lonely place up there. And personally, I don't think that's true, because if you say I help me and two other friends get rich, now when we are 45, we got $3 million each, or and growing. There's a property out there that's 10 grand or $10 million. Now, hey guys, let's go three-way on this. Let's split it down the middle, evenly, 3 ways, instead of, oh, well, he's the rich one, so he's going to buy it, because that turns into a sin, The people that didn't get rich, they're like, well, how did he do it? Like, what do I have to do to get there? Versus, we did this together, I'm glad we all got to where we're at, and now, not only is there one person that's rich, but there's 3 of us, so nobody can really tell us anything, and at the end of the day, you get to that part in your life, you get to that point, you don't want to stop, because that's how a lot of lottery winners lose their money, is they tend to get complacent and content, and they're just like, well, I've won $1 million, or I've won $10 million, so I'm just going to spend it all, and pay off debt, and on some other things, and whatever I guess after that, and that's not even a real life, because then what happens when that $10 million turns into $2 million, and you've still got debt to pay off and other things? Now, what do you do? You can't stop, and somebody has to pay that money. So good luck trying to think that, oh, well, I guess we'll just have to settle. So basically, I ended by saying that we as people cannot live life being complacent, and we surely cannot live life contently, because once you settle, it's hard to get out of that rut. It is very hard to get up and moving again, and you do not want to stop moving. What I want you with my kings and queens is keep moving forward, keep having that forward-driven mind, forward-thinking mind, and never stop trying to be successful and achieve greatness. I love all of y'all. Thank you for the support. This has been your boy Styles, and this has been the True Kings Podcast. Thank you and goodbye.